Channel intro, stories that stay with you. Stories follow us through life, sometimes as memories, sometimes as dreams, and sometimes as a quiet voice in the dark when the world around us has fallen silent. This channel is a place for those moments, a place where words are allowed to take their time, where emotions can stay a little longer, and where every story has room to breathe. A hopeful everyday life, a new morning. The morning began like any other. The coffee maker bubbled quietly in the kitchen. The rain still lingered in the air after the night's showers. The city slowly woke outside the window. She stood still for a moment, holding the cup in both hands, feeling the warmth spread through her fingers. It had been a difficult time. More days of doubt than hope, more questions than answers. But this particular morning felt different. The phone vibrated softly on the table. A new message? She hesitated at first, as if she were afraid to open it. Then she took a deep breath and read. An acceptance letter. She stared at the words for a moment, read them again. She had been accepted into high school. She looked out the window once more. The rain had stopped. Sunlight gently broke through the clouds. She smiled. Not big, not dramatic, just a quiet, steady smile. Because sometimes change does not begin with giant steps, but with a message that opens a new path forward. LGBTQ love, what grows in the silence. At midday, the mess hall was the ship's meeting place. Crew members came and went between shifts. Some carried trays in their hands. Others stopped by for a cup of coffee and a moment of conversation. Sky sat at one of the tables with the day's reports spread out before her. She read the numbers, checked the status, and moved on to the next line. The door slid open. Rayleigh stepped into the room. The air changed. Suddenly, it felt almost still. Sky lifted her gaze from the tablet. Rayleigh sat down across from her. "You grow life in a ship built to survive death," Riley said quietly. Sky raised an eyebrow. "You sound like a scientist." Raleigh smiled faintly. "I am a scientist. I have studied for a long time, and I am still curious." Sky leaned back and watched her for a moment. "It feels like you carry more questions than answers." Rayleigh replied softly. "Questions often take us farther." Neither of them said anything more. Sky let her gaze linger for a moment before returning to her work. Raleigh remained seated across from her and opened a book. Her eyes moved across the pages, with the same calm that always surrounded her. After that evening, something had changed between them. Not in what was said, but in what was left unspoken. It was in the silence between the words that something began to grow. Love, a cup of coffee later. Rain had settled over the city again. Drops tapped softly against the window, blurring the world outside. She sat at her usual table in the cafe. The cup in front of her was still warm, but she had not taken a single sip. She was waiting, not for anything specific, not really, and yet. The doorbell rang. She looked up. He stepped inside, shook the rain from his hair, and glanced around, as if he were searching for something or someone. Their eyes met, just for a moment, but long enough for something to change. He smiled carefully, not wide, not confident, just honest. She felt her heart beat a little faster, as if her body already understood something her thoughts had not yet caught up with. He took a few steps toward the counter. Then, after a brief hesitation, he turned back toward her. "Is this seat taken?" he asked, pointing to the chair across from her. She looked at him, at the chair, then back at him, and smiled. Sometimes love does not begin with grand words, not with promises, not with plans. Sometimes it begins with a simple question and a cup of coffee later.